There's a new sheriff in town. The new Attorney General Pam Bondi has hit the ground running. Immediately on her first day in command, she has set about defunding roughly 220 sanctuary cities nationwide. This, while ICE's approval rating is soaring to a 2-to-1 ratio. And why wouldn't it? This is what the American people have desperately said they have wanted for some time, and the Trump team is starting to deliver in spades for what his voters said they wanted. And Pam Bondi isn't just targeting sanctuary cities. She has also sent sweeping directives, which include reviewing prosecutions related to Donald Trump, reinstating the federal death penalty, and ending diversity initiatives within the department. So let's start with the defunding of the sanctuary cities. Bondi ordered the Department of Justice to pause all federal funding for sanctuary jurisdictions. This pause is for 60 days while conducting a review, after which further steps would be determined. She said, the Department of Justice will ensure that, consistent with law, sanctuary jurisdictions do not receive access to federal funds from the department. State and local jurisdictions must comply with applicable immigration-related federal laws. State and local actors may not impede, obstruct, or otherwise fail to comply with lawful immigration-related directives. Bondi has also barred the department from entering into new contracts or grants with organizations who provide services to individuals who live in the U.S. unlawfully, meaning illegal aliens. This will apply to places like New York, California, and several other major cities, including Chicago and Washington, D.C. This means that there will likely be huge cuts to so-called critical programs funded by federal dollars in these cities and states. This will include public safety initiatives, disaster relief, housing support, and healthcare services. So essentially the word is out. The adults are back in charge. And this whole supporting the lawbreakers thing that became so attractive to these weirdos in the mid-2010s will now have a heavy price to pay. Now, to better understand the scope and impact of this, in how withholding funds will impact these states and cities, in 2023 alone, sanctuary cities received approximately $1.5 billion in grants from various Department of Justice offices. These places have been suckling at the teat of the American people while simultaneously thumbing their noses at the American people. It's outrageous and intolerable. And Pam Bondi agrees. Considering that she has also tasked the Department of Justice with investigating instances of these sanctuary jurisdictions, obstructing law enforcement and directing prosecutions when necessary, we can expect that this will likely lead to actual prosecutions of those who commit illegal acts by harboring illegal aliens in this country. This is another huge win, another huge step in restoring the rule of law in the United States. So why is Pam Bondi's directives here so important, and how does it affect and play into the broader strategy of the Trump administration in its moves to set the stage for the largest mass deportation in American history? Let's go through the numbers. First, there's the financial leverage over sanctuary jurisdictions. Bondi's 60-day review of federal funding will pause that $1.5 billion, right? And by threatening to withhold these resources, the administration is aiming to coerce compliance with ICE detainers and information sharing, which sanctuary policies are currently restricting. This means it's harder to catch the bad guys in sanctuary cities and states. These places are massive holding grounds for hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of illegal aliens. This is a critical element of resistance that the Trump administration will need to shatter to open the floodgates for mass deportation in this country. And so, to further the aim, you have the legal and prosecutorial pressure added onto all of this. Destroying resistance in these so-called sanctuary cities, Pam Bondi is directing the Department of Justice to investigate and prosecute these jurisdictions, obstructing federal immigration enforcement, and that includes the criminal probes into local officials who refuse to cooperate or who get in the way of ICE. And that likely is going to mean prison time for city and state officials who thwart the federal government in deporting the illegals. You throw a few mayors, a few city council members in jail, and you're going to swiftly dry up the public resistance from these people. And to further that aim, the administration has revived Trump's 2017 executive order, which was blocked under Biden, authorizing sanctions against sanctuary cities. And now that you have a more conservative Supreme Court, meaning a court that is more likely to uphold the Constitution despite political biases, they are likely to uphold these measures. Which then brings us back to ICE. As of now, ICE has arrested more than 8,000 people nationwide as of the beginning of February. Now, while this might sound like a lot, there are 22 million illegal aliens still infesting this country, so that number would have to dramatically increase to make any real impact or difference. And Bondi's funding cuts will play a crucial role in weakening these sanctuary cities' ability to shield migrants from ICE. This will help to ramp up the numbers in short order. And then, of course, there's the military mobilization that we've seen. Over 1,500 troops were deployed to the southern border, and military aircraft are now being used for deportation flights. And Trump has also reinstated policies which will allow ICE to deport illegal aliens anywhere in the U.S. without court hearings if they cannot prove 2 years of residency. And then you have the targeting of the support networks. Pam Bondi has now barred the Department of Justice to make contracts with NGOs who assist illegal alien immigrants. This will dismantle critical support systems for housing, legal aid, and healthcare. This will isolate these illegal aliens, making them easier targets for deportation, as it should be. This will also be important in making lives of illegal aliens progressively more uncomfortable and difficult, which in the long run will encourage many of these people to self-deport rather than wait around to face the lawman. And as a matter of fact, this is already beginning to take shape. This is an article from the right-wing news outlet called Breitbart. They title this article, "NGOs Shutter Migrant Shelters as Releases End and Money Dries Up." Non-government migrant shelters, or NGOs, are feeling the impact as illegal entries continue to dwindle across the southwest border after President Trump's swift actions to control the border and carry out mass deportations. Nonprofit organizations that received hundreds of millions of dollars from the federal government under the Biden administration began to close their doors. From Texas to California, the shelters that once counted on a steady flow of cash from the U.S. Federal Emergency Management Agency, meaning FEMA, was providing money to house illegal aliens and keep them here, which is ridiculous and absurd and outrageous, but that's no longer happening. The released migrants are now missing that part of the equation necessary to receive millions of taxpayer dollars to stay here illegally. And this is causing the rapid closures of shelters in Texas and Arizona in the first few weeks of the new administration. About damn time. The latest private non-government migrant shelter to close is in San Antonio, Texas, just a few miles from the San Antonio International Airport. The Migrant Resource Center, or the MRC, has been run in partnership with the city of San Antonio and Catholic Charities since 2022. Surprise, surprise. Thank you, Biden. On Monday, city officials announced that the shelter would be closing as fewer migrants are being received. Now, according to FEMA, in fiscal year 2024, Congress appropriated $650 million in taxpayer money for the Shelter and Services Program to reimburse non-government shelters in multiple border and interior cities nationwide. $650 million just to put illegal aliens up. What the hell is this? Unbelievable. The American people are suffering, and here we are throwing our money away at people who don't even belong in this country. The whole thing is outrageous, and let's be honest, stupid. But this is all just the beginning, my friends. In the near future, once resistance is reduced locally, and ICE gets expanded authority, expect to see arrests to rise sharply. And now, other local South American countries are starting to come around and helping the U.S. in its fight to rid itself of millions of unwanted illegal aliens. They see an opportunity to make money. Let's talk El Salvador for a moment. El Salvador is now offering their mega prisons to the U.S. for a, quote, small fee, in which to house both criminals and illegal aliens within. Marco Rubio, in remarks given during a joint press conference in San Jose, Costa Rica, alongside President Rodrigo Chavez, described Bukele's offer as incredible and unprecedented, while explaining that its legality would have to be analyzed before the administration of President Donald Trump makes a decision on the matter. Rubio said on the matter that that's an offer President Bukele made. Obviously, we'll have to study it on our end. There are obviously legalities involved. We have a constitution. We have all sorts of things, but it's a very generous offer. No one's ever made an offer like that, and to outsource at a fraction of the cost, it's an incredible offer, an unprecedented one. And so Rubio, who commended El Salvador's cooperation for the return of illegal Salvadorian migrants to their country, said that the United States is profoundly grateful for the offer and that he had already spoken to President Trump about the offer prior to the signing ceremony, stressing that no country's ever made such an offer of friendship as this. Rubio said, "You can think about it. Any unlawful immigrant, illegal immigrant in the United States who's a dangerous criminal, MS-13, Tren de Aragua, whatever it may be, he has offered to his jails, so we can send them here and he will put them in his jails. And he has also offered to do the same for dangerous criminals currently in custody and serving their sentences in the United States, even if they're U.S. citizens or legal residents." And if you think it's just going to be El Salvador, think again. It's only a matter of time once these local South American countries realize that they can make money off of the situation, they too will want to get in on this gold mine. And so the chessboard continues to align. It seems to me that the stage is nearly set for true mass deportation to finally begin. The only obstacle that I see really left in the way is to clear the field of those in power wishing to thwart the will of the American people, i.e. the sanctuary cities. After that, it's Katie bar the door.